The morning sun rose over Chicago's iconic skyline, casting long golden beams that bounced off the endless stretches of glass and steel that defined the city's bustling business district. The streets were alive with energy, hustling professionals in crisp suits, clutching coffee cups as they power-walked toward their towering workplaces, while the sharp honks of yellow taxis echoed through the avenues like the heartbeat of the city itself. In the middle of this corporate symphony stood the towering headquarters of Miller Investments, one of the most prestigious financial firms in the state, nestled on the 20th floor of an ultra-modern skyscraper. The owner of this empire was Robert Miller, a man whose name alone commanded respect in the financial world. With silver-streaked hair that perfectly matched his tailored navy suit, Robert was the embodiment of power and precision. His reputation was built not only on wealth but on a near-legendary ability to close deals that others would deem impossible. On this particular morning, he was preparing to sign what was projected to be the biggest and most lucrative contract in the past 5 years, a deal that could potentially shift the market and increase his company's dominance exponentially. The contract, printed on ivory-thick premium paper, exuded an aura of finality and importance as he reviewed it one last time, pacing in his sleek office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the shimmering cityscape. Yet, despite the confidence his reputation was built upon, an unsettling feeling gnawed at him, something intangible, something he couldn't quite articulate. Feeling the need to clear his head, Robert decided to step out of his glass fortress and head down to the main lobby for some air. As the elevator softly chimed and its doors parted, Robert stepped into the marble-floored lobby, his gaze scanning absent-mindedly until it landed on an unusual sight: a young girl, no more than 9 years old, sitting quietly on a wooden bench near the wall. Her small hands flipped through the pages of a dog-eared magazine, her feet swinging above the floor, not quite long enough to touch it. Her name was Emma. Petite yet observant, with a pair of bright hazel eyes that seemed to capture more than they let on, she was waiting patiently for her mother, Michelle, who worked as a janitor in the same building. Michelle had taken the night shift to ensure that she could be with Emma during the afternoons when school let out. Today, however, circumstances forced Emma to accompany her mother during her cleaning rounds. As Robert's sharp eyes casually took in the scene, something about the girl's demeanor piqued his curiosity. Without fully realizing why, he approached the bench and sat beside her, offering a gentle nod and a polite smile. "Waiting for someone?" he asked in a tone far softer than the one his board members usually heard. Emma looked up, closed her magazine, and replied, "Yes, I'm waiting for my mom. She's working upstairs." There was an odd but comforting sincerity in her voice, mature for her age, neither shy nor boastful. As they exchanged a few more words, Robert casually set the contract folder on his lap, his fingers lightly drumming its surface. Emma's gaze shifted naturally to the folder, her curious eyes catching the bold title printed across the top, followed by lines of fine text. For most children, it would have meant nothing. But after a few seconds, her expression shifted, her eyebrows furrowed slightly, and she tilted her head, leaning in with the cautious precision of someone piecing together a puzzle. Pointing her small finger at a paragraph near the bottom, she uttered words that would forever change the course of both their lives. "That's not right. That's a trick." At first, Robert chuckled, assuming it was childish curiosity or perhaps misunderstanding. "What do you mean?" he asked, half amused. But Emma, now more confident, explained, "The way this is written, it's like, in a few months, your company won't own that thing anymore, the thing you're signing about." His amusement faded, replaced by a skeptical but intrigued frown. "Explain," he demanded, leaning slightly closer, as if the walls might overhear. Emma, without hesitation, began decoding the dense legal jargon in language so simple yet precise that it sent a shiver down Robert's spine. She pointed to a clause hidden on the 5th page, an obscure phrasing about asset distribution linked to an automatic option clause that, in legal terms, would allow the partner company to gradually acquire a controlling stake in one of Miller Investments' most lucrative assets. The trap was disguised beautifully, masked under language that appeared harmless on the surface but, if activated, would cost Robert his company's core backbone. His fingers trembled as he reread the clause, this time with clarity that pierced through the fog of overconfidence. Everything the girl said was true. Robert couldn't believe it. How did you see this?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper, now filled with equal parts disbelief and awe. Emma folded her arms and said with a gentle shrug, "My mom. She used to be a lawyer back home. She teaches me stuff. We read contracts together sometimes. Just for fun." Her innocent tone made the weight of the revelation even heavier. Robert pressed further, stunned. Emma continued, explaining that Michelle graduated from one of the top universities in her home country with honors in law but was unable to practice after immigrating to the United States. Despite her qualifications, without local experience, bar admission, and a network, doors remained shut. Bills piled up, and dreams faded into survival mode. Michelle, determined to provide for Emma, swallowed her pride and took janitorial work in the very offices where people far less competent signed contracts she could easily dismantle. That night, Robert couldn't sleep. His mind spiraled, not just over the fact that he had narrowly escaped professional ruin thanks to a 9-year-old, but over the systemic injustice that allowed someone like Michelle to scrub floors instead of sitting in a boardroom. The next morning, he summoned Michelle to his office. For the first time, she walked through the grand double doors not with a mop but holding her head high, uncertain but dignified. What followed was a conversation that would change her life. Robert offered her an internship, a gesture that stunned not only Michelle but also the entire legal department when they heard. Within weeks, it became clear that Michelle's intellect wasn't just sufficient, it was exceptional. Her analysis of contracts was razor-sharp, her grasp of complex financial law unmatched, and her dedication relentless. 6 months later, she was promoted to head of the legal department, earning the respect and admiration of every colleague, some of whom initially doubted her. The transformation didn't stop there. Emma, inspired and proud, dove deeper into the world of law, joining her mother in reviewing documents, learning terminologies, and dreaming bigger than ever. What had started as a random encounter on a lobby bench became the spark for generational change. A mother regaining her rightful place and a daughter growing up witnessing what resilience and courage can achieve. Robert, forever humbled, often recounted this story not as a tale of charity but as proof that talent knows no class, no background, and no borders.